Garry Kasparov started day one of the Champions Showdown, which is basically a top level chess 960 event with a ban. So we are going to see his three games from today. The first one was against Wesley So, second was against Hikaru Nakamura, and third one was against Ray Robson. And Gary is like retired and he plays only in these St. Louis events once a year or twice a year. So let's see how Gary played in the first game. After this was a position, the position in the first game that was chosen. You can see the pieces are all jumbled up because it's chess 960. E4, E5, it's the queen's pawn in this position. B3, Gary also plays D6, bishop B2, knight E7, knight comes out, and F5. So the king is already here, so probably castling will happen on this side, and white will also castle. This is the queen side, right? Queen side castling. So you will bring the king here and rook here. That's how you will do castling. Same over here. King over here and rook over here. Queen side castling. So takes, and castles by Wesley. Gary plays g5, which is a top engine move. I mean, g5 gaining space, and he's all ready to bring out his knight and bishop suit. G3, knight d4, c3, inviting a weakness, and the knight jumps back. Bishop comes out, knight comes out, and f4. Here takes, and takes, and bishop to g4, attacking the rook. Rook moves, and here comes castling. So both we are in middle game, like both kings are safe. And what is the situation right now? You can see this bishop is really good. White's bishop is not that active, and the knight is yet to develop for Wesley. Right here, Gary chose. Wesley attacked the bishop, and Gary chose to take on f4. Interesting decision. The point being, it will be an exchange after takes, and then the bishop can move. Here, queen went back. There are threats in the position, right? There's a discovered attack coming. So Wesley could take back the pawn and keep it, very even, but he decided to spice things up a little bit with queen here, queen d3. Here, Gary has to save the bishop, and you also have to stop this discovered attack. This discovered attack that would be deadly. Yeah. So the only move is bishop to e6, blocking everything. Now takes. Queen can't take because the bishop would hang. So Gary was okay with this position, and he had evaluated this as better for him, and he's right. White is basically down a pawn right now, and there is a second pawn hanging if the knight moves, and pieces are all active. The slight problem is the king being unsafe, but white is in no position to make threats. So knight comes out, and now king b7. Queen comes, keeping the pin, attacking the bishop, and bishop e5. So Gary is giving back the pawn. If Wesley wants, he can take, but then bishop takes, and it'll still be a pawn up. Queen check, king comes to 8, and now takes. If rook takes, again the pawn on a6 is hanging, a3 is hanging. He took. A3 cannot be taken right now because of the pin. So as of now, it's even material. Queen comes out, and the pawn will have to move if he wants to save it. But there will still be a nice pass pawn for black, which is right now hanging. And here comes c4. This was a blunder. This was a blunder that Wesley played. After queen d7, what are the options for Wesley? Taking the pawn is not really an option. Because e7 is hanging. D2 is hanging. So that is not possible. And then rook will fall. So you can't do that. So rook f2 is the logical choice here. Or d4. But just c4, a very natural move as well. Yeah, you're defending the pawn and you're opening up the bishop in one move. So it looks very normal to do that. But unfortunately, it's a blunder. And Kasparov spotted this with just 2 minutes, almost 2 minutes on his clock. He spotted it in like 15 seconds. Queen d3, hitting the rook. The c pawn moved and it lost control of the d3 square. Now the rook is hanging. And when the rook moves, here comes bishop f5, threatening mate. Queen c2, queen d1, both checkmates. So Wesley had to give up the exchange. He gave up the exchange. And Kasparov just converts it smoothly. He pushes a pawn. Queen comes in, rook blocks. And now king comes in, defending the pawn, king b2, and now rook comes back. So he's preparing rook e7, rook e2. a4 and rook e7. I mean, this rook to e7 because the other one is defending the pawn kind of. Yeah. So rook e7, queen moves and rook comes in. a5. So Wesley's trying to drum up some counterplay, but he's sacrificing a rook for it. And Kasparov calls a bluff. He just takes a rook. I mean, you can also play something like a6 and shut everything down. The pass pawn is too strong and the exchange up is enough to win. But yeah, he takes the most objective route, which is taking the rook. And now after a6, king comes up. Queen comes threatening a mate in one. Queen a5 is mate. So he goes c5. Queen comes down, trying another way to give checks to the king. But Kasparov just finishes things off with rook takes d2. Bishop takes, queen takes, and now check, queen check. And here, rook comes to b2, and everything is defended. The checks are just going to run out. So Wesley resigned here because this would be mate. Can't do that. So queen check, king moves, queen check, and then the king can just escape. And you can't give checks forever. So that was a very nice start for Mr. Kasparov with the win over one of the top players in the world, Wesley So. And now in the second round, he was facing Hikaru Nakamura. So let's see what happened there. So Garry played the English. I mean, you can't really call it the English because the position it's a different position for every round. So you can see here, king is on this side, the knights are here, the bishop is already on a good diagonal. That's why he played c4. And queen will also come out after the pawn moves. So c5, knight out, and b3. Knight out and e3. So you still need good center control even in chess 960. Because after a few moves, the position will look just like a regular chess game. Takes, d5, and knight comes out. So all the pieces have come out. A lot of exchanges. And in this game, Garry did a very long, perfect calculation at the end, which is just beautiful. We'll get there. And bishop d6, queen b1, and there was a threat on h7. He defends that. b4, Garry gains space on the queen side. Queen b8, and queen b3, slowly improving the position. Queen b2 takes, and queen comes out. Here b5, gaining space, knight a5, and knight e5. Knight c4, takes. So here Nakamura decided to give up a pawn to stop Garry's activity. So here it is a pawn up, but it's a weak d4 pawn, which is already under attack. Rook comes to c2, bishop e6. So Garry defends the pawn for now. Bishop comes to f1. Rook e7, but Nakamura is going to put everything on that pawn. So it'd be very tough to defend it. So if you bring this here, then it will also get kicked. So Garry decides to just activate his rooks and the queen. Queen comes back, and here he activates the rook, giving back the pawn almost. Bishop back, and now the pawn is hanging. He goes for rook c8, which is going to lead to massive exchanges. But at the end of that, it's a slightly favorable endgame for Nakamura because he has the better bishop and he's got the better rook. And here you can't go, here you couldn't go something like rook c7 because rook d1 and then it will be problematic, like bishop f5 and bishop d3 and he's gone. Yeah. So it's very risky to move up the rook. So he goes rook a4 and then rook c3, defending the pawn. And Garry activates his king. Here there was a chance for Hikaru. Hikaru had f4, takes and rook takes, keeping everything intact and breaking white's pawn structure even more. That was an option, but Hikaru didn't see that. He had only 2.5 minutes. Garry is down to 11 seconds here, but the position is pretty solid. Bishop e2, rook comes in, f4. You want to exchange as many pawns as possible when you're defending in an endgame. Bishop c4 and rook d2 takes. This endgame looks like it's good for black, right? And remember, Garry had just a few seconds on his clock. Before going for this endgame, like he had 19 seconds. I mean, here he has no choice. He has to go for the exchange. But he went rook d2. Yeah, before this. So he has allowed a bishop for c4. He had only like 11 seconds here to play f4. Takes, bishop c4, rook d2, takes. And the king is closer. But Garry had calculated this to the draw. So the point being, king comes in, and here after takes, the king jumps in. Black has to spend some moves to take the a pawn. So it's a race. And don't go to g6 because then the black pawn promotes with check. The king e5 or e6, both are fine. And now the race ends in a equal finish. White even promotes with a check. And then Kasparov did not exchange queens. which would have led to a problem. Like if you exchange queens here, then it's winning for black. Yeah, so don't do that. So he went queen takes h6, and he offered draw here. He was like demanding a draw here, and Hikaru wouldn't dare to reject that. So that was the second round, a nice draw for Garry Kasparov, and now came the sweet finish in the third round, where Garry was his previous self, and he just crushed his opponent. So let's have a look at the position for the third round. You can see here, king is on e8 itself. So castling here makes sense. Rook is over here. Knight will come out here. Knight will have to come out to better squares like this. Fianchetto to the bishop maybe, or just to develop it. Yeah, the bishops are also in the normal place. King is in the normal place. The other pieces are out of play. So let's see how Garry played this. Okay, rare option played d4. Knight comes out. Knight comes out d5. Okay, center control h4. h5. Bishop moves in. Knight moves out. Pawn forward. Knight moves attacking the bishop. Now exchange. And queen comes out. So castling will probably happen on the queen side. h5, h4. So knight moves back, takes, and e6. The position is pretty even. And now e5, striking in the center. So this is very energetic play by Kasparov. Yeah. f4. Both sides are yet to castle. So who is it going to favor if the position opens up? Probably the more developed side, right? Which is white right now. But even black has one undeveloped piece, knight is not developed. Castling is not done, rooks are not active here. Yeah, looks even. So takes. So black is actually better here. If you look at it temporarily, you might see f5 and everything is great for white. But bishop e7, knight comes out. Looks fine for black. Queen d7, takes, and f5. Here knight e7, castles and rook e8, and knight c8. This is a nice route for the knight. Yeah, the pawns are these are hanging pawns, and the structure is bad for white. Knight comes out, bishop comes out. b6, stopping the knight from entering. So position has become very good for black all of a sudden. Like, how fast did it become so good? Wow. See, the bishop is great. That's the thing. It's basically this piece that is giving all the advantage to black. When you can play knight f4, yeah, knight f4 seems logical here. No? Let's see. Is there a problem with knight f4? Just rook e4, and the rook also comes in. Yeah, it looks very nice for black. Kasparov. 3 minutes, and he's also ahead on the clock in this game. So his much younger opponent is in trouble. f6 was chosen by Garry here. So basically, knight came to e7, and now f6, knight f3, bishop g3. He plonks the bishop on a nice square, controlling the e1 square. Knight f2, and now knight d6, knight g4. Now there are threats, right? But these are a little premature. This move is actually premature because now Garry plays a nice move, rook e4. No time to take on f6. The knight's hanging. So knight was forced to go back, and now Garry plays some very nice moves. He brings a rook in. Knight comes back to g4, threatening the same thing. And here comes knight e4. The square was vacated by the rook. Now rook is sitting pretty. Knight's also jumped in. f6 is defended. And everything looks good. So rook went to b1. A sad move to play, defending the pawn. And king d6. Nice move. Just stepping out of any sort of forks and just activating the king. Rook d1. So white is just stuck to making pointless moves, just waiting moves. Garry takes. He takes the most direct route. Knight can't take back. Yes, it's a free pawn. King f1. There's one square for the rook. So rook c2. Rook d3. And here rook f8. Very nice move, attacking f5. And there's everything on the f file now, right? Here comes knight e3, forcing the rook to go to f2. And after king g1, ideas of rook f3 are in the air, right? But it's not yet time. h3 is also in the air. g4 is also, look, g4 knight will take it right now, yeah? Yeah, g4 knight takes, rook takes is also looking good. So he went h3. Garry likes to attack. So he goes h3. Even without queens, the position is so good. c4, rare option ignores it. And now rook h8, trying to get the pawn to h2. And if that pawn gets to h2, knight f2 will come soon. Here, Ray Robson is down to few seconds. After takes, Garry plays h2. He finds the win. And after king moves, he sees it. Rook takes, pawn takes, knight f2 is just winning a rook, right? King moves. The king moves and we just promote, winning a full piece. The knight is defending the bishop in that case. But there, after rook takes knight, there is this check. But Garry had already seen this because now rook will take on f3. So knight f2, rook can just give itself up and he can hold on. But then Garry just plays king takes pawn. After rook takes rook, he just takes on c4, right? That's the point. Rook takes and just king takes. And knight f2 is anyway coming. So here Ray Robson resigned. So a beautiful game by Garry Kasparov. This is a brilliant game, like attacking game. Without the queens, just h3, h2, rook h8, everything is, and the sack, exchange sack. So this is the Garry of old. So he still got it. But how can he sustain it for the next 2 days? We will see on day 2 and 3 of the St. Louis Champions Showdown.